Welcome to Nordic Yoga. Come to our hands and knees, hands shoulder width apart, knees hip width apart. And we're going to inhale, tuck our chin to our chest, tuck our pelvis. Exhale, extend the spine all the way through the crown of the head and tilt your pelvis back when you exhale. Continue this for about 10 breaths on your own. Inhale, rounding, and exhale, extending. Full breaths through our nostrils. Inhale, rounding, chin to chest, tuck your pelvis. Exhale, extend, getting a side body stretch if you like when you extend. Inhale, rounding. Exhale, extending, side body stretch. Inhale, rounding. Exhale, extending. Continue on at your own pace in connection with your breath. And on your next exhale, you're going to tuck your toes under, go into downward facing dog, lifting your hips up to the ceiling. Walking your dog out, finding a hamstring stretch on each leg. And if you bring your knees back down to the mat, tilt your pelvis up to the ceiling, you will find a flat spine with shoulders, blades directly on your back, elongating your spine in downward facing dog. Feet should be about hip width apart. Your legs do not necessarily have to be fully extended. Having a slight bend to the knees still enables a good hamstring stretch. About 5 more breaths here. And when you finish that 5 breaths, walk to the front of the mat, come back to standing, hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, extend your arms back. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale to the right. Inhale to the center. Exhale, lean to the left. Exhale with a flat back, reaching towards your toes. We want to maintain a straight spine here. Some of you may not be able to get that low. The main goal here is to maintain that straight spine while getting a hamstring stretch. Hinging from the hips down towards your toes. Connect with your breath, breathing through your nostrils. Even inhales, even exhales, for about 4 more breaths. Exhale, extend your right foot back into a low lunge. The top of your right foot is on the mat. Straight spine. Hands on either side of your foot. Connecting with your breath for about 5 more breaths here. And raising your hips up to the ceiling in a downward facing dog for another 10 breaths. Raising your hips up towards the ceiling. Bringing your knees down to the mat, extend your arms out to the child's pose, bring your head down to the mat, and just relax in child's pose for about 5 more breaths. Inhale up into upward facing dog. Look to your right foot. Look to your left foot. Inhale back to center. And stay in upward facing dog for about 4 more breaths. Exhale, extend your hips up to the ceiling, back into downward facing dog for 10 more breaths. even exhales, even inhales. On your next exhale, step your right foot forward into a low lunge, getting a lunge on your other side. 10 even breaths here. And on your next exhale, step your foot to meet your other foot at the top of the mat. Relax your head down and bring your hands back up to the ceiling, hands to heart center. Deep inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, sweep your hands behind your hips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, reach to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, touch your toes with a flat spine again. You should be able to get a little deeper into this hamstring stretch the second time around. Remember to maintain a flat spine as best you can. Some of you may not, again, be able to touch your toes. That's okay. 10 even breaths here in this pose. On your next exhale, you're going to step your right foot back into a low lunge again. This time, bring your hands up to the ceiling. Getting a little deeper into that hip flexor stretch. Lunging into that front leg and finding a little back bend to get a little deeper into that hip flexor stretch. Every exhale, getting a little deeper into your stretch. Inhale, bring your hands back down on the mat. Exhale, up into downward facing dog, raising your hips up to the ceiling. 10 even breaths. Then your next exhale, come back down into child's pose. Stretch those arms out, walk your fingertips forward to the front of the mat. And try to find a straight spine with your head resting on the mat. About 3 more breaths here. I'm going to go back up into upward facing dog. Exhale, look at your right foot. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, look at your left foot. Inhale, back to center. And connecting with your breath for a couple more breaths in upward facing dog. Next exhale, raise your hips up to the ceiling, back to downward facing dog. For another 10 breaths. Notice we breathe each pose for a period of time, about 10 breaths, for the purpose of getting a little bit deeper into the stretch and maintaining a good posture and technique. Your next exhale, bring your right foot forward and do a low lunge. Raise your hands up to the ceiling to get that hip flexor stretch on the other side. Again, lunging into that front leg and reaching up to the ceiling, finding a little back bend to get deeper into that hip flexor stretch. About 5 more breaths here. Exhale, bring your hands back down on the mat, step your foot forward, and relax your head down. Come back up, raise your hands to the ceiling, and hands back to your heart center. Inhale, exhale. One more deep inhale, and exhale, sweep your hands behind your hips, reach your hands up to the ceiling. Exhale, reach right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, reach left. Inhale back to center. Exhale, reach towards your toes with a flat spine. 10 even breaths here again. Every breath, we should be getting a little deeper into the stretch, lengthening our spine, lengthening our hamstrings. On your next exhale, step your right foot back into a high lunge with the ball of your foot on the ground, maintaining a straight back leg. Bring your hands up to the ceiling into a high lunge. Every exhale, going a little bit deeper into that front lunge and maintaining a straight back leg with the ball of your foot on the ground, both toes pointed forward. About 5 more even inhales and exhales, and bring your hands to the center of your chest. Twisting, rotating your right elbow around your left thigh. And in this twist, you can find extension with your arms if you wish, still maintaining that lunge position that we were initially in. This is a good back stretch, a good hip flexor stretch, and a good glute stretch. On your next exhale, bring your hands on either side of your foot. And if you'd like to go deeper into this pose, bring your elbows onto the inside of that front foot, maintaining a straight back leg with the ball of your foot still on the ground. This is a very deep glute stretch. About 4 more breaths here. Again, if you can't get into this pose, feel free to stay up on your hands or use a block. Next exhale, bring hands on either side of your foot, pivot your back foot to the side of the mat, and swing your arms around, come back to standing. Hands to heart center. Your front foot should be pointed forward. And go into a lunge, that front leg. Every exhale, getting a little bit deeper, reaching 90 degrees. Hands, arms to the front and back of the room, maintaining your torso directly over your hips, not leaning too far forward, too far back. The heel of your front leg should intersect about mid-foot of your back leg. About 3 more breaths. And relax that front leg, hands back to heart center. Extend your arms out to the front and back of the room again. Reaching back, back, back. Hinging from your hips. Now reaching forward, forward, forward. Hinging from your hips. And bring that hand down towards the mat on the inner side of your shin. Reaching your other hand up to the ceiling. Your gaze should be up towards the ceiling. About 5 more even inhales and exhales. Every exhale, getting a little bit deeper into your pose. Coming back to standing, hands to heart center. We're going to pivot that back foot to about 45 degrees, square our hips to the front of the mat, and lunge into that front leg, bringing our hands up to the ceiling. If your hips are not square to the front of the mat, you feel free to pivot that back foot a little bit more to the front of the mat. And about 5 more even inhales and exhales. With focus and concentration, we're going to come to balance on that front leg, pivot our torso, our hips to the side of the room. Reach that hand down towards the ground, kick back, our heel and our other hand should be reaching up towards the ceiling. This is a balanced pose, but also a great hip stretch and hamstring stretch. About 2 more breaths here. If you fall out of it, don't worry, just get back into the pose. And bring that foot to meet the other. Relax down, let your head go, let everything go. Round your spine. And coming back to standing, reach your hands up to the ceiling. Hands back to heart center. Take 1 inhale here and exhale. Inhale, exhale, reach your hands behind your hips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, reach left. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, reaching towards our toes again with that flat spine. Every time we go back into this pose, we should be able to get a little bit deeper into our stretch, opening up our hamstrings, lengthening our spine. For about 4 more breaths here, we'll maintain this pose. Next exhale, put your left foot back into a high lunge while your foot's on the ground, straight back leg, and lunging deeper into that front leg, trying to find 90 degrees. About 8 more breaths here. Even inhales, even exhales. Maintaining our lunge, we're going to bring our hands to our heart center and find that twist again, hooking our elbow on the outside of our knee or quad. Finding a twist, if you'd like, you can open your arms, bringing your hands down to the floor and to the ceiling. Again, this is a great glute stretch, hip flexor stretch, and lower back stretch. And bringing our hands to either side of the foot and walking our hands to the inside of the foot, either staying there or bringing our elbows down to the mat to get a very deep glute stretch, keeping your spine as straight as possible, maintaining that straight back leg with your ball of the foot on the ground. About 8 more even breaths here. And if you can't get this deep into the pose with your elbows onto the ground, feel free to stay up on your hands or use a prop. Coming back up, bring our hands to the side of our foot, pivoting that back foot to the side of the mat, and windmilling our hands back around, hands to heart center. Extending our arms to the front and back of the room. And working towards 90 degrees with that front leg. Our torso should be stacked over our hips here. Our front heel should intersect the middle of our foot in the back. Gaze should be over your front hand. Every exhale, getting a little bit deeper into that pose, working towards 90 degrees with that front leg. And relax that front leg, hands back to heart center. Take a couple breaths here. And extend your arms again to the front of the back of the room. reaching back, hinging from your hips, and hinging from your hips, reaching forward, 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 and then bringing that hand down to the inside of your shin, down towards the ground, reaching your other hand up towards the ceiling. Gaze should be up towards that hand, up towards the ceiling. About 8 more even inhales and exhales. You may notice a difference in flexibility from one side to the other. And coming back to standing, your hands to heart center. Pivot that back foot again to about 45 degrees. Moving your hips to the front of the mat. Squaring your hips to the front of the mat and finding 90 degrees with that front leg. Hands up to the ceiling. Again, if you can't find square hips to the front of your mat, feel free to pivot that back foot more than 45 degrees. Every exhale, getting a little bit deeper into your lunge. And with focus and concentration, come on to balance. That front foot kicking your back foot to the back wall. Hand down towards the mat, other hand up towards the ceiling. Your hand may not reach the floor. This posture is all about balance. One leg, single leg balance, and a hip stretch. If you fall out of it, just come back into it and find your breath. Coming back to standing. Fully relax, let your head down, round your spine. Inhale, come back to standing, hands to ceiling, hands back to heart center. One inhale, one exhale. From here, we're going to grab our right knee, open it to the side for a single leg balance. We're going to take it a little deeper. Grab onto your right big toe, extend your leg, and then pivot your leg out to the side. Maintaining that single leg balance, finding a hamstring stretch. It's important to stay connected with your breath here and your gaze on one point to maintain your balance. Bringing your foot back to the ground and switching sides. Either grabbing your shin or grabbing your big toe, extending that leg for a hamstring stretch and pivoting it to the side. Again, stay connected with your breath. Your gaze should be focused on one point to another. This will help maintain your balance. And bring that foot back down to the mat. Here we're going to open up our shoulders, just doing some arm rotations, alternating arms, opening up our shoulders. And we're going to find a reverse prayer, or clasping your hands behind your back, or grabbing your forearms or elbows. Step your right foot back about half a leg's length. Back foot should be about 45 degrees, and hinging from your hips with a straight spine. Front fold over that front leg. This is a great hamstring stretch and IT band stretch, as well as a shoulder opener. Bring back up, switching sides just by pivoting our feet around. Remember that back leg is about 45 degrees, hips are square to the front of the mat, and maintaining that reverse prayer or clasping your hands to maintain that shoulder opening stretch. A few more breaths here. And coming back to standing, back to the front of our mat. Deep inhale, exhale, step back a little bit. Widening your stance to the edge of the mat and going down into a squat with our elbows on the inside of our knees. We want to try to maintain a straight spine in this squat, if at all possible. Couple more breaths in this squat. And bringing our hands down to the mat. We're going to balance the inside of our knees onto our triceps, our elbows, and coming into a balance pose, onto an arm balance pose. The feet should be off the ground here, and ideally touching. And coming onto our head, using your core, we're going to elevate your legs to the ceiling, coming into a headstand. If you fall out of this, that's okay. Just try to get back into the pose. Really using your core to lift your legs up. Ideally, we want all of the weight onto our head, but our hands act as somewhat of a kickstand here in this inversion. And bringing our legs back down, jumping back into a plank position, high push-up position. And from here, we're going to do yogi push-ups. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. For about 8 more yogi push-ups. This is good for core strength. And if you are done with your yogi push-ups, just let go, fully relax onto the mat, and pivot your head to the side, and just completely relax. Here we're going to move into an extended version of our upward facing dog. I like to maintain this pose for about 50 breaths. This requires shoulder strength, core strength. There's also a lower back stretch. There's also a hip flexor stretch. You may only be able to maintain this for about 15 breaths. When you're ready, feel free to move back into child's pose and just relax there. Some of you may be in child's pose, some of you may still be in your upward facing dog. Just remember to stay connected with your breath, even inhales, even exhales. And if you're still in your upward facing dog, sit back into child's pose, extend those arms out forward, and rest your forehead on the mat. Just relax here. After some difficult standing poses, a headstand, yogi push-ups, we are now moving into the parasympathetic nervous system, unwinding and beginning to relax into some more easy ground poses. And coming to your hands and knees, tuck your toes under. Going to back into downward facing dog, raising those hips up to the ceiling. Kick back that right leg and open up your hips to the side of the room. Now bringing your knee in towards your chest and pivot your leg onto the mat into pigeon pose. It's a great glute stretch. Make sure you extend that back leg back. Top of your foot should be on the ground. And then coming down onto our elbows, resting your forehead onto the mat. I'd like to stay in this pigeon pose for about 20 even breaths. And bringing that back leg around, you're going to place your foot on the outside of your already bent leg. Raise your hand up to the ceiling, and your other hand should be supporting you behind you, finding a twist, hooking your elbow on the outside of your quad, looking behind your back shoulder. This is a good lower back stretch. It's a good glute stretch. And unwinding here. I'm going to kick back that right leg, release that hip a little bit, back to downward facing dog. Raise that left foot up towards the ceiling, pivot your hips to the side of the room. And then bringing your knee in towards your chest, rotating your leg on to the mat, into pigeon pose on the other side. Remember, extend your back leg as far as you can with the top of the foot on the ground. Head down towards the mat. 20 even breaths here. And we're going to bring that back leg around again, finding that twist, placing our foot on the outside of that other already bent leg, raising our hand up to the ceiling and hooking our elbow onto the outside of that quad, using your back hand to support you, finding a twist. About 5 more even inhales and exhales here. And again, unwinding, kicking back that left leg, release that hip a little bit. Come onto your hands and knees, and we're going to rotate around onto our backs and find one more twist here. Bending that left leg, grabbing it with your right hand, extending the other leg, and then looking over to your other hand. Having a nice spinal twist here. And switching sides, bend that knee, grabbing with your opposite hand, extending the other leg and looking to your extended arm on the floor, finding a nice spinal twist. And from here we're going to unwind. I usually like to finish my yoga routine by rolling out my back, working out any kinks that I did not otherwise work out, just to extend my spine a little bit more before we go into Shavasana. And then find yourself on your mat, completely relax, palms faced up, completely let go, and just relax here in Shavasana. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to any sensations in your body. If you keep finding your mind wavering and drifting, bring your awareness to the top of your head, and then scan each body part all the way down to your feet and then back up. Relaxing every part of your body. I like to stay in Shavasana for as long as I wish, but at least 4 minutes, sometimes up to 20 minutes. Stay in Shavasana as long as you wish. Otherwise, come back up to sitting. And thanks for joining me for JHSC Nordic